And joining us today in our Book Talk segment, great to welcome a woman who's written a book that's going to help a lot of people. It's called Inspired and Unstoppable, Wildly Succeeding in Your Life's Work. We're joined today by Tama Kieves on the telephone. And Tama, good to talk to you. How are you today?
I am so glad to be here. Thank you.
Good to have a chance to chat with you a couple of minutes. Had an opportunity to read through the book, and I think you're kind of touching a nerve that a lot of people are probably going through right now with if they're in a job they don't particularly like. Maybe they have thoughts of doing something else, or even if they do like their work, there may be something on the side. So I guess that's the premise of it, right?
Absolutely. Just that you have a dream, you have a calling, there's something you're meant to do, and life is too short to be miserable. Absolutely. And it's based on my own story of, I had always known what I wanted to do. I wanted to write. That was my dream. And I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, to an Orthodox Jewish family. And so basically I got, you're going to write? You're going to stop. You're going to write. And that was basically the encouragement for doing your dream. And so I ignored what I loved, and I did what was practical, like a lot of people do. And I went off to law school. I got accepted to Harvard Law School. And I was on partnership track for a major law firm. And I'd walk in every day to that job feeling like there's got to be something more. There's got to be something more. And I think a lot of people feel like that. They know there's a dream for them. And thank God, a friend of mine at the time said to me, think about it. If you've been this successful doing something you don't love, what could you do with work you do love? So that's what I want people to find out is, instead of what you think is safe, what you think is practical, what could you do with what you love, what inspired you, what moved you?
And there's nothing wrong with being practical, and I agree with you there. I think now a lot of people, unfortunately, maybe are put out of a job that maybe they didn't like that much for other reasons, this economy, and now they have an opportunity to maybe do something that they've always wanted to do.
Absolutely. And actually, what my real main premise in it is that I think, when I say practical, I think what we think is practical. What we think of is practical, because I think the most practical thing you will ever do is something you're good at, something you want to do, something you're motivated to do, something you love to do. So, like you said, I think there's so much changes going on in our economy, in our job market now, and people, even people who are laid off or let go, they have that chance to really start the business they always dreamed of, to write a book they always dreamed of, to do a movie, to do whatever it is. And again, this doesn't have to be that you have to leave a job. It's something you could do right now on the side, right now on Wednesday nights, on the weekend. You don't have to leave a career to start doing your dream.
And I guess the biggest obstacle, you talk about it in the book, if you have a job, you got bills to pay and money's coming in, the fear of doing something different. Even if it isn't quitting the job, just doing it on the side, you're never quite sure if that's what you should do, right?
Absolutely, and I really think that that's the biggest thing that stops people. I've been a career coach for years, and I've worked with artists and entrepreneurs and visionaries and leaders and corporate people, and the thing that stops people more than anything else is they stop believing in themselves, and they start believing in their fears instead. And for me, it's about getting in touch with, if you start doing something you love right now, you just start doing something that moves you right now, you're going to feel differently. You're going to think differently. You have different brain cells in your head when you're doing something you love as opposed to when you're not. When you're doing something you don't love, it depletes you. It drains you. When you're doing something you care about, you get energy. It renews you. It gives you more energy. It gives you more thoughts. And so one of the best ways to get out of fear is to start doing something you love right now, whatever it is, even if it's walking your dog. I think it has to be a career thing. It means just anything you love.
And sometimes it's good to, put yourself in a position where, you're a little bit, not frightened, but maybe a little bit nervous about it, but that helps you. That nervousness can help you, can it?
That's an excellent point. And I think if you're really living a meaningful life, you should be facing some kind of fear. That's what life is about. Meaning, if we're growing, if you fall in love, you're scared. If you decide to have a child, you're scared. If you decide to go to school, you're scared. There's some fear that's a beautiful, holy thing in this life, that again, just because you're afraid of it doesn't mean it's wrong. And to your point, which I think is a great one, is sometimes that your fear will motivate you. Sometimes it was definitely my fear of, oh my God, what if I don't make money? What if I don't succeed? Sometimes it was my fear of failing that made me succeed, that made me work even more, that made me decide, okay, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to speak to whoever will ever listen, even if a class or a workshop isn't packed yet. I'll speak to the 10 people who came.
Right.
A lot of times it motivates you.
What do people that you coach tell you? You mentioned it. I guess fear is one thing, but what do you tell them as far as the first step to say they want to go in a different direction or something? Well, what's the first step that they should do?
I think the first step is again, start asking yourself, what moves me? What gives me energy? Start paying attention to that in your life and start doing more of it, whatever that is, whatever you've dreamed of doing, whatever speaks to you. Don't wait till perfect circumstances. They're not going to come, but you doing something you love is going to make those perfect circumstances. So one of the tips that I always tell people is, you can focus on your desire, or you can focus on your obstacles. And whichever one you focus on, that's what you're going to create more of. If you start focusing on your desires and what you really want, you start really focusing on that, you're going to have more energy, more spirit, more abilities to do it. You start focusing on your obstacles, it's going to drain you.
Yeah, that nervousness and worry drains all the energy you could be using to do what you want to do.
Exactly, and you talk yourself out of it. Yeah. You start believing that's real.
How about, there is a practical system to anything. You have to make money if you're going to go into a different avenue. You have any tips on that? How maybe to kind of transition that way without totally losing your money from your current job?
Exactly. I mean, sometimes it is that, of that. I have a lot of career coaching clients, and everybody does it in a different way. So a lot of people are building a business on the side while they stay in their career, and they'll always joke around how their career is subsidizing their dream, or capitalizing their dream and sometimes I always tell people, maybe you really want to start decreasing your expenses. Maybe you don't need that big fancy house, or maybe you don't need to keep up with the whatever. If you have a dream, if you have a desire, and so I'm always telling people it's never a step down, it's a step ahead. Like if you decide to lower your expenses in some way so that you can fund your dream, I think that's an amazing thing to do in this life. So there is a way. There is always a way. That much I know. When you really want this, you'll find a way.
Do you find, Tama, the people you talk to and in your research, more people are doing this now? I guess, the traditional 8-to-5 job now and stay with a company 20 or 30 years, that's gone. I mean, those days are gone, right?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So those of us who sat around thinking, well, maybe we would do this, maybe we could do this, I think life is enabling us to do this, where that the idea that there's going to be a secure job out there that, like, oh, I don't really love it, but I'll just put in 20 more years, I'll just put in my time, right? Those days are gone, because even if you do have that job, you have to stay competitive in this job market, and the thing that is going to make you more competitive than anything else is doing something you're gifted at, doing something you're talented at, doing something you really, really want to do. So I think more people are starting their own businesses than ever before. We're seeing an influx of that, and I think it's phenomenal because you're killing yourself working for someone else, doing something you don't even love. If you're going to face risk, if you're going to face challenge, if you're going to face the hell sometimes of every day in working, why not do it for something you believe in? Why not do it for something you care about? Why not do it for something that means something to you?
Well, I know we have limited time today, Tama, but I think we hopefully gave our listeners a taste of what the book's about. It's called Inspired and Unstoppable, Wildly Succeeding in Your Life's Work. I know your previous book, This Time I Danced, did very well, and I'm sure this one will do as well. Where can the folks get it?
You can get the book in any bookstore, any good bookstore, that is. No, any good bookstore. If they have my book,
that's it. It's got to be good.
Or Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, any online opportunities. But please come to my website, InspiredandUnstoppable.com. And if you do get the book anywhere, free to send us a copy of your receipt, an email copy of you can just email that to us, and we give you 5 free interviews with me and other successful people who have taken Inspired and Unstoppable strategy. So it's more support and more training that you get for free. If you've already bought the book, it's just a great way to go. And even if you don't buy the book and just want to check out the website, inspiredandunstoppable.com, there's a free resources that you can download right now of my best coaching techniques to get you past your fears and find out what your next step is, what's calling to you right now. So I'm also on Facebook.com, and I'm on Twitter and blog, and that's under my name, Tama Kieves.
Great. Tama, always good to talk to a fellow Brooklynite. I was born there. I didn't grow up there, but I know the area pretty well. So good to talk to you, and thanks for joining us today.
Brooklyn, baby.
Thanks. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much for having me.